Welcome to another Colors of Prague. I'm back again. Colors of Prague, I discuss progressive rock from all around the world, past and present. 2 episodes back, number 8, season 3, I mentioned a box set of Italian prog rock music from a festival in 2010. They did it again in 2011, called Prog Exhibition. Now, as an added point to that episode that I already did and already put up in the internet, I did want to say that over the years since that was released, it's the PFM sets have been reissued. The Banco sets have been reissued. There have been various reissues all around of individual performances from that show, which I find very interesting. There is some video footage on YouTube, but it does not look, probably due to copyright, does not look to be from that box set. As I mentioned before, there were 4 DVDs and 7 CDs of music. Just really, really great collection. Now with this one, it's a bit different. They only opted for 2 CDs this time. And they pretty much gave everybody 1 song apiece. I'm not quite sure what was going on with that. Maybe it's also on Immaginifica, released in 2012. The PFM, the label from Franz Di Goccio from PFM. He has his own label, or had his own label. Franz very much still with PFM. They released an album last year, very good one. So anyway, and they're currently touring. Yes, more power to them. So, bit of a disappointment considering all the great music on this and all the really cool bands on this at the second festival a year later, also with special guests, as in the previous year's Italian festival, Italian Prague Festival. And downsizing, I don't know. Since there are no DVDs included, I did find some footage that looked like it was shot. It was on YouTube. That looked like it was shot by audience members of some of the things, and I'll get to that. But first, let me tell you what's on here. By the way, like the first edition, this also comes with a very nice booklet. Pretty much in Italian, but you know, it tells you who was in the band, what songs they played, the lineup, so on and so forth. And it really came in quite handy because I wasn't too familiar with some of this music, with some of the bands, so I had to dig a little further. I was, who is this? Oh, okay, that's who it is. And so I can bring you the full experience. So this is going to be shorter than that one that I did 2 episodes back. So Prog Exhibition took place in Rome in 2011. The results, again, were only released on a 2 CD set in 2012. And I'm not sure if they picked off highlights of the band's sets or what. So the first band is Stereokimono. Yes. An Italian instrumental space rock band. Apparently, I can only find they had 1 CD out prior to appearing at this festival. I'm not sure if they recorded anything else. They're quite interesting. They're quite not terrible. They're quite good. Leads me to be interested in possibly searching out more material from Stereokimono, because you don't see many space rock bands from Italy, especially from the 2010s, or now, or then, before then. I mean, that was a thing like the British did, Hawkwind, and other bands, and Germans especially. They were really quite good at Ashwa Temple, Tangerine Dream, that whole space rock thing. Anyway, next band is a band called Oak, which stands for Associazione Alchemico Creative. Oak. It's a lot more sense. Essentially, one-man band, Jerry Cotillo with added guests on his so far 4 albums under the Oak banner. He plays guitars, bass, keyboards, mandolins, flutes, and sings. And he's had interesting people guest on his albums, like Sonia Christina, Richard Sinclair, David Jackson, and Martin Allcock. Martin Allcock is a multi-instrumentalist who played with Fairport Convention for 10 years, as well as of other Celtic, folk, and country Western artists. And he appears on Jethro Tull's 1989 Rock Island album. So he guests with Oak on one tune. Saint Just is next. It's led by singer Jenny Sorrenti, sister of singer-guitarist Alan Sorrenti, well known in Italy. Saint Just is more of a calmer, low-key collision of English folk and Italian progressive rock. They released just 2 albums in 73, 74, and a comeback in 2011 as Saint Just Again. And that probably led to the appearance here at this festival. Quite nice. She has a really good voice. Quite interesting. I've noticed there have been re-releases of Saint Just albums and Jenny Sorrenti's solo recordings as well in recent years, on Italian labels, of course. Ut la Anima Prog del Neutrals was next. Now, Ut is another offshoot of Neutrals led by Gianno Bellino, drums, vocals, and Claudio Cinquagarana on guitars and vocals. Ut usually featured a rotating lineup of supporting musicians, which on this I wanted to make a note of this. They did 2 songs on here of note. The second one is Netto Adesso, and this is credited to Nico DiPaolo, who's actually not even in this version of the band, so it's quite interesting. What happened was Neutrals fractured, and at some point in time, and they're another great legendary Italian prog band. They fractured so badly that they split up. They came back together again, and then in one of the splits, Nico DiPaolo came back and joined the original band, but the band he was in decided to soldier on as this band, but their own music was not as greatly received. So when they played live often, they were doing classic Neutrals songs, which most of these guys weren't involved with. Balletto di Bronzo is next. They were at the last, Gianni Leone, member of Balletto di Bronzo, was at the last year previous show guesting. Their YS fame, that album was released in 1972. They're represented on this with 2 songs, one of them by Richard Sinclair of Caravan fame. Richard Sinclair released a solo album in 1992 titled Caravan of Dreams, and he has a song called Planet Earth. Plan It Earth. Not planet. Plan It Earth. Part of the whole Caravan thing with weird song titles and weird imagery. Anyway, so Sinclair guests on the electric guitar, bass, and vocals for Planet Earth, joining Balletto di Bronzo, which is quite nice to see. Still on CD1, we have Arti Mestieri with Gigi Venegioni and Mel Collins from King Crimson. Mel appeared the previous year. This time, Mel Collins stays with the band's 3 songs, which is quite nice. Arti and Mestieri, formed in 1974, utilized a lot of saxes, flutes, and keyboards in their sound. But they also had muscular, underrated powerhouse drummer Furio Chirico of the Trip. Furio Chirico. Now, Furio Chirico was in the band The Trip, and on the previous box set I had talked about, he had rejoined The Trip for that reunion performance. The guy looked in great shape, especially as you can see on the DVD. I mean, he was like muscle-bound and powerful drummer. I'm like, who is this guy? Makes me want to check out more Trip stuff, which I haven't done. I've done up to a point. There's not a lot of it, though, so there's that. But anyway, so Furio joined Arti and Mestieri, his drummer, and Mel Collins from King Crimson, as I mentioned, joins the band. He plays alto and tenor sax. But of course he would. Disc 2 kicks off with one song from Il Bacio Della Medusa, which is criminal actually in a way, because they're a good contemporary band. They softened their sound over their 6 albums to go from a more metallic to a more classical symphonic sound, especially with the Anima Acustica released in 2020. Now, earlier episode, I spoke about a couple of Il Bacio della Medusa, The Kiss of the Medusa, and a couple other different releases. And it's a good band. I recommend them. Imagine sort of like Riverside. You know, that band Riverside, not an Italian band, but they can go from like a harder sound to a softer sound all in the space of one recording. Next, we have the Vic Vergeat Band with Mel Collins. Again, I couldn't find much about Vic Vergeat. He's a blues guitarist, rock guitarist. He's been around for a very long time, and he leads a power trio. And they have 2 songs here, both credited to Vic Vergeat and the Vic Vergeat Band. And they're nice blues rocky kind of things. And Mel Collins just blows his tenor sax all over these things. It's nice. Nice find here. Again, a disappointment. Garybaldi of Nuda fame. That album was released in 1972. They performed 2 songs with a guest guitar player, Marco Zaccheddu from Nuovo Idea. And they only released 3 albums between 71 and 73. And they're only represented by two recordings here. Pardon me. Garybaldi very rarely performed live, and they didn't reunite many times, so it was like a missed opportunity here. Next, we have Biglietto Per L'Inferno.Folk with Martin Barre from Jethro Tull. Now, Biglietto Per L'Inferno released their self-titled debut in 74. It's still well regarded as one of the better symphonic prog albums. In 2009, they reformed, added the word folk to their name with a new vocalist, Mariolina Salo. Very interesting sound to her voice, too, by the way. And oddly enough, they perform Ansia and Confessione from the first Biglietto Per L'Inferno album. You can see here. And Martin Barre from Jethro Tull, as I previously mentioned, joins the band on a spirited version of Aqualung. Yes, that song. Now, we're going to end with the this set ends with something like, I would have loved to hear this full set. It may come out one day or it may not. New Goblin with Steve Hackett from Genesis. Yes. At this time, one of the many revolving itinerations of Goblin, this one featured Claudio Simonetti, Massimo Moranti, and Maurizio Guarini. Maurizio's on keyboards, Massimo on guitar, with Bruno Previtali on bass and Tito Tani on drums. Those two guys were from Simonetti's Goblin offshoot band Daemonia. The biggest surprise here is that after a spirited version of Profondo Russo, Steve Hackett joins the band. He does a short piece called Improvisazione, which is like a minute and change long. And then there's a lengthy Watcher of the Skies with vocals by Vincenzo Missio, who performed a number of Genesis cover bands and is in one currently called Gazzara Plays Genesis, as in Ben Gazzara, yes. Gazzara Plays Genesis. Those videos are on YouTube. So Vincenzo Missio does really good version of singing Watcher of the Skies, and it's really nice to see Steve Hackett really grooving. He's really grooving with the band for Watcher of the Skies, and I'd like to have seen the whole set. Just, like, was there more? Portions of that are on YouTube, shot by audience members and the like. There's some in varying quality. Unfortunately, like I said, it's the first CD box set of Prog Exhibition, as they called it, which was done in 2010. Had 7 CDs, 4 DVDs. This only has 2 CDs and pretty much 1 or 2 songs each. It's also worth getting if you could find it. This is what it looks like. Now, before I go, I did want to say that anyone out there has a band or manages a band and you want to contact me, I will review the music, because I never not review something that's sent to me. It may not be immediately, but I'll get to it. And of course, Prog related. And that's our show for today. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And the Prog is out there. Yes, are touring. Peter Gabriel will be touring. John Anderson is touring this coming spring. Gabriel's touring in the spring or summer. So it's out there. And the Floating Prog Festival is set for 2024. All these things are happening. Whether you like metallic prog, prog-related, symphonic prog, there's everything. Even local bands. Young kids are out there playing this stuff. It's great to hear, great to see. Anyway, be well, stay safe, and I'll be back soon enough. Thank you for watching.